What's up, my nerdlings? You're watching Grotkilla TV on YouTube.com. Okay, today we're looking at 3 of the very basic hobby tools you will need if you will be doing the plastic miniatures for Warhammer 40,000 or metal for that matter. You've got your plastic clippers, which can also be used on very thin pieces of metal, your X-Acto style blade or hobby knife, and your pin vise. And we'll be looking at each one of these separately, beginning with the clippers. Okay, first up is going to be our plastic clippers. As you can tell, looking at them, they're flat on one side, and because of the thickness of the tool itself, you've got a little bit of wiggle room if you want to cut from this side. So as you hold it against the sprue, if say I'm cutting next to where my finger would be, it's going to be right up against the plastic. If you cut this way, you're actually going to leave yourself the thickness of the clippers themselves, the metal. You're going to leave that so it gives you a little bit of room to clean up that cut if you so desire it. And now we'll also be looking at actually removing a bit from a sprue. So we take our plastic sprue, and I like to take care of business, so I'm going to use the flat end. Just go ahead and you clip it. I of course have removed this portion of the sprue from the rest of the frame, and then just work your way around, and then you have your bit there to start your mini. And now we'll move on to the next bit that you'll need, the next tool, which will be your knife, and we'll look closer at the part itself. You'll see the mold lines where it came out of the mold, and you'll be using your hobby knife to clean that up. Okay, this is probably your single most important tool in the world of hobby modeling. It is a hobby knife. Many of you will recognize it as being very similar to the X-Acto knife. I myself prefer the Tesser's brand. This is basically considered a throwaway hobby knife. This is my second one. My first one made it through 2 armies and starting a third one, so it's pretty quality. The tips on this particular one do tend to break right away, so you want to be careful with the very tip of the tool itself. Always also keep it protected when not in use with the plastic cover. It's a nice safety device. Prevent little kids, if you have them, from giving them a really nasty cut. If you've ever cut yourself with one of these, it's painful and deep. But this is your business end right here. You'll notice, of course, that it should go out maybe another 1/4 or 1/2 millimeter. But it will cut and trim plastic and metal. I use it for both. I don't have a Dremel, but those are a handy tool, I've heard. So this is the knife that we'll be using to trim up our bit. Okay, you'll notice on this bit right here, along the leg, is where we're going to trim. It's got a line. It's kind of hard to see, but it is there, and it will show up, especially once your paint goes on. Any kind of blemishes that aren't taken care of now, before the painting process, are going to really show up. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take our knife, business end down, of course, and then we're going to scrape gently along the plastic, and you will of course find your own style and technique. Practice makes perfect, of course, and that's why we're in the hobby. But you'll just follow that leg line down and around. You can also use files for this. But files tend to work a little bit better, I've noticed, on the plastics. A very fine grit sandpaper, but we'll cover all those tools later. But essentially, just like I've been showing you, just follow your mold line down. Make sure that it's nice and smooth, or worked in and blended, so that you can't tell basically that once your paint goes on, you don't want it to have the appearance of being a plastic model, even though of course that's what it is. You can be a little bit looser up here where your parts are going to be glued together. Sometimes it's preferable to glue the parts and then do the scrape work once it's dried, to hide the joint a little bit better. And but anyhow, that was a very brief demonstration on trimming plastic. It takes a lot longer to do the whole piece, but we'll move on. Okay, our third and final tool is going to be the trusty pin vise. It has multiple uses. The most common use is going to be adding gun barrels to the firearms of whichever army you play. You can also use the drill bits to create battle damage, holes, all kinds of uses. Right now I'm just going to, this is the one that Games Workshop produces, and it comes with 4 different sized pins, which are essentially just drill bits. That's going to be your business end, and so you want to put the smooth end into the open hole in the vise, and you're going to want to turn it counterclockwise to lock it down. Then you're going to take one of the firearms of whatever army you play. You want to smooth off your edges first. Find the right size pin for the weapon that you have. This one's okay. The first pin I used was a little bit too small, and so the barrel hole is actually slightly off. But if you do it correctly, you want to make sure it's centered, and then you want to turn the whole tool, or this rotating part here, clockwise, and that will cause the bit to go into the plastic or the metal. And then when you're satisfied with the depth, you want to turn it counterclockwise, and that will bring the bit back out of the plastic. And then you have a quite effective gun barrel hole once it's all painted up. So you can see the results of being slightly off-centered. But so take your time. Takes practice. You might want to practice on some throwaway weapons, which for me, this particular bit is one I won't be using. But anyhow, that is the pin vise in a nutshell. They do come, they do collapse out. This is the actual bit that you're tightening this part on, and it basically clamps down and holds your pin in, very similar to the chock in the old school, you know, in your electric drills. So, but that is the pin vise. Simply, that's the one that Games Workshop carries. It's about 10 or 15 bucks. You can't find them really in hardware stores. They kind of gave me a cross-eyed look when I asked one of the big chain stores. So if you don't shop at Games Workshop or use the Games Workshop online store, check out a place like Hobbytown. They'll probably have something like this for you. Okay, this is not a bubbling vat of acid on the tabletop. This is actually a bowl of warm soapy water. You want to, just as a quick tip, soak them or give them a quick dunk in some warm soapy water. This is going to remove any residual oils that are on your frames. It's going to be plastic or metal. They use that to keep them from sticking inside the molds. So you want to give them a quick dunk, and then rinse them off, allow them to dry, and that is going to help your paint adhere better, so you're going to get a more durable model for your wargaming.